Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Danielle, aka Stitcherista here on YouTube, and today I thought I would do something a little bit different and that I would do a stitch with me. So in the realm of full disclosure, I recorded me stitching last night, so this is a voiceover that I am going to do the true crime story for. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this because I stitch every night now. So, yeah. But before we get into the true crime story, we will definitely have a little chat. So, if you are not watching my cross stitch videos, why would you be watching this one, I guess? This is Modern Folk Embroidery's sampler for this year called Fruits of Plenty. This is my first sampler that I'm stitching, and I have to say, I absolutely love it. It ticks like all the boxes as far as like, I like patterns that are nice and neat and it's symmetry and it's nice and it looks so good. And only using two colors, I can kind of go faster than I normally do, right? So the two colors I am using are DMC 3750 is the blue color, the darker color, and the green color is 958. Gorgeous colors. I still have a long way to go on this sampler, but I actually got quite a bit done in this session. I stitched for like an hour and 20 minutes. And you may not see the whole thing because I just recorded it all, but I normally do not have a true crime story that's an hour. So I will just leave it going as long as I do the story. So I have gone back and forth so much between Q-snap or a hoop, and I wound up sticking with a hoop. It seems like a hoop for my projects works out the best because I can get it pretty close to me. Now, I realize that as I go on in this sampler, there's going to be fabric around like three sides of it. I mean, there's going to be fabric around all four sides of that hoop at some point. So I'm going to be using those cable ties for sure, the magnetic ones, which you can see the blue one. I will link them down below. They're fantastic now that I know how to use them. So thank you to everyone, like I had said in yesterday's or my cross stitch video. Thank you to everyone who told me how to properly use it. You have to have the magnet part on your fabric, but not on like a bunch of fabric. Like it's got to be on a single layer of fabric, if that makes sense. So the cable tie part holds the bunch. This is a fat half that I have in here. So it is a lot of fabric. I didn't quite need a fat half. This is 28 count Joblin lamb's wool. The color is lamb's wool, and I'm doing 2 strands over 2. But it was close enough to a fat half that I didn't want to cut it because it's serged. So if you cut it, it would start to unravel, which no, hell no. So I was like, I'll just deal with it and just cut it when I go to frame it. So and my husband is so funny because he's like, do you think you could get a page of this done in a week? And I went, no, a week? I'd have to be stitching all day, every day, I think. But, yeah, I'm really loving it. Really, really loving it. So that needle minder, I don't remember where I got that. That needle minder's pretty old. Somewhere on Etsy, who knows. But I apologize for being able to see that weight on the right? That is the tripod that I have clipped to my table. I think I'm going to use a different kind of tripod if I ever do this again, a stitch with me, which I probably will because like I said, it's easy for me to record the stitching and then do the voiceover over it the next day. Because like I said, I stitch every night. So this time I was smart and I put my phone in airplane mode because I did not realize that when I use the voice recorder app on my phone to record a story, it also picks up every time I get a notification. Are you freaking kidding me right now? So that won't happen now because it's on airplane mode. So work yesterday. I'm off work today. Not complaining about that because I worked till fucking 8 o'clock last night. Yeah, 8 o'clock. And it was just, the job was just brutal. Oh my God. And so believe it or not, I didn't eat dinner till 8:30, and then Bill went to bed and he was like, well, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm going to go upstairs and stitch. He's like, you were just in your office all day long. I said, it's different sitting in my office chair than it is sitting in my stitching chair. And I love stitching upstairs in my office now because I have a huge floor lamp for daylight, for my stitching lamp. It's so much nicer having that lamp than having a lamp clipped to my work. I really, really like that lamp, and it really, really does it's nice light. I forget, I've had the lamp for a long time. But yeah, so today I'm recording this voiceover and I have to go to the grocery store, and I'm actually renewing Bill's passport. So I have to go to the post office and pick up a priority mail envelope. And I wasn't thinking that he had to fucking sign the application. Of course he does. Duh. So he went and got his passport photo yesterday. $110 to renew your passport. And he wants to renew it because we will be taking a cruise at some point. So my passport is good through 2024 only because when we got married, I got a new one with my married name. So, but yeah, you're going to see me counting here because I try to outline something so then the rest of it is easy. And you probably won't see the end of this, but I got to the point where today when I stitch, I just have to fill in like a bunch of the green. I don't even have to count or anything, which is awesome. But yeah, I love this so much. I'm telling you, I'm going to complete this. I'm going to do it. I'm not going to get sick of it. It will be the biggest piece I've ever stitched. I mean, it is really large. Unless you want to count Fairy Moon by Mirabilia. I don't know how big. I think this is even bigger than that. But anyway, I've been following the hashtag on Instagram. The colors, you guys, every color looks good. There is not a color combination that someone has done that I'm like, ooh, that looks awful. It is just striking just to see two colors together. It really is. There is a colorway that I kind of wish I would have did, but I'm not starting over now. This one will look fantastic. It was like a dark magenta and a pink. Oh my God, it looks so good. Yeah. So, like I said, off work today. Yeah. It's rainy here, which I'm not hating on that either. But okay. So today's story is Dorothea Waddingham, and this is an older one. So it says, few murderers divide opinion quite as much as Dorothea Nancy Waddingham. On the one hand, there are those who describe her as a heartless murder-for-profit killer who killed two sickly women entrusted to her care. Boy, was that popular back in that day. I mean, this is like 1925. People love to poison people. Other people, like taking care of them. So on the other hand, there are those who insist that Dorothea did not commit her crimes out of greed, but rather out of desperation. That could be true. I mean, there are definitely people that commit murder out of desperation. Yeah. She desperately wanted a better life for herself and her 5 children. Good night. She was forced into a corner by her ailing business, and the 2 women she killed were given a peaceful end to their terrible suffering. So, the fact that Dorothea was a murderer is not in doubt. She confessed as much before going to the gallows, so we know how her end goes. But, which was she, callous fiend or angel of mercy? So, we will decide at the end of it, at the end of the story. Give me your thoughts down below. Oh, before I go on, that blanket that I have on my lap, that was my grandfather's blanket he used before he died. And when he died, we were cleaning out the house and my mom let me have it. I wanted it. Yeah. Okay. So Dorothea Waddingham was born in 1899 on a farm at Hucknall, just outside of Nottingham, England. Her family was reasonably well off and she was allowed to finish school before taking up a job at a factory. Thereafter, she found work as a ward maid at the Burton-on-Trent Workhouse Infirmary. That short stint constituted the full extent of her quote-unquote medical training. Okay. In 1925, Dorothea met and married a man named Willoughby Leach, who at 52 was twice her age. fuck? What the fuck? 52 was twice her age, so she was 26? Yikes. That would be like me marrying my dad. I don't think so. No. And it was so funny, little side note. When I was single, before I met Bill, my dad was always trying to set me up with people that he knew. And I'm like, Dad, they're your age. I'm 35. I'm not dating someone. No shame or shade against anyone who likes older men. I don't mind older men. I don't want to date someone who is 20 years older than me, though. Not really. No. Anyway. So Willoughby was also dying of cancer, but during the 8 years they were together, he fathered 3 children by Dorothea. He was dying of cancer. 8 years is a long time in that day and age to last if you have cancer. During that time, Dorothea served 2 short prison terms. What the fuck? One for fraud and another for theft. She was also forced to resign her job at the infirmary over the theft of toothbrushes. What? Okay. Stealing a toothbrush. Willoughby finally succumbed to his disease in 1933, and thereafter Dorothea reverted to her maiden name. She had by then already started a relationship with the lodger in their home, because of course she did, because that seems to be something very common too. This was a man named Ronald Joseph Sullivan. Why does everyone go by all 3 of their names? Anyway. He was 13 years older than her, but the relationship appeared to be a happy one. Over its course, Dorothea bore 2 more children, and with their growing family, she and Ronald sought out bigger premises. That brought them to the large house at number 32 Devon Drive, Nottingham. And it was here that either Dorothea or Ronald hit on the idea of opening a nursing home. Oh, fuck me. Okay, let's open a nursing home even though we're not a doctor. No. Neither, of course, had the necessary qualifications. However, such was the desperate need for care facilities that the county authorities granted them a license. What? Jesus. Okay. Do we blame the county for what's about to happen? Maybe. Soon after, they took in 4 patients, all aged and infirm, 3 of whom died within months. The remaining resident, Mrs. Kemp, was in great pain from gangrene and Parkinson's disease. She was being prescribed large doses of morphine, which the doctor, H. Mansfield, allowed Dorothea to administer, even though she wasn't qualified to do so. You know, let me tell you, living back in that time and getting older and dying, how frightening it must have been. On January 12, 1935, the County Nursing Association referred 2 new patients, 89-year-old Louisa Bagley and her daughter Ada, who was 50 years old. Ada was afflicted by a progressive disease that left her unable to walk. The fee for these 2 patients was 30 shillings, which is 1.5 euros a week. A pittance, given the long hours that it took into caring for them. In February, the number of patients was reduced to 2 when Mrs. Kemp died. Dorothea was now running the nursing home and supporting her large family on a wholly inadequate 30 shillings per week, I'm sure. What was Ronald doing? Why wasn't his ass working? Anyway. Relief was soon at hand, though, because on May 6, 1935, the elder Mrs. Bagley rewrote her will. Oh boy, here we go. Leaving her entire estate to Dorothea, on the condition that Dorothea would continue to care for her and her daughter until their deaths. Now remember, her daughter's only 50, so she could be living for a while. The estate was worth around 1,600 euros. Wow. Okay, think about the fact that they were only paying $1.50 euros a week, and her estate was worth 1,600. A considerable sum of money for that time. 5 days later, Mrs. Bagley died, and based on Dorothea's description of her symptoms, Dr. Mansfield listed the cause of death as cerebral hemorrhage. Sus, right? Her mother's death threw Ada, remember Ada, her daughter that's 50, into a deep depression. Dr. Mansfield increased her medication, but her condition continued to worsen through the summer months. In September 1935, an old family friend, Alice Briggs, came to visit Ada, which at least cheered her up. Mrs. Briggs even told Dorothea, with Ada nodding enthusiastically in the background, that she was going to bring Ada to her house for tea in a couple of days' time. But just a day after that visit, on September 11th, Ronald called Dr. Mansfield and told him that Ada had lapsed into a coma. By the time the doctor arrived at the home, Ada was dead. Sus, also. As death had been expected at any time, Dr. Mansfield was not in the least bit suspicious. He filled out the death certificate, stating that Ada had died of cardiovascular degeneration. With Ada gone, Dorothea soon stood to become a rather wealthy woman because remember, I think they both had, well, no, she left her estate, but she was going to had to use it to take care of Ada. But here it all began to go wrong. Why? According to Dorothea, Ada had asked to be cremated and had also insisted that her family should not be informed of her death. What? This second request seems strange, but Dorothea produced a letter written by the doctor and signed by Ada. No, Sullivan. Who's Sullivan? Is that Ronald? Oh, God. Okay. I hate when they use the last names. So, Dorothea produced a letter which was written by Ronald and signed by Ada to back up her claim, and this only increased suspicion, obviously. Then there was the issue of the cremation, so that could only go ahead with the approval of Ada's family, and pressed on the matter, Dorothea insisted that Ada had no family, and this, of course, was a lie, and that would come back to haunt Dorothea at her trial. The cremation, meanwhile, had been referred to the cremation referee, Dr. Cyril Black, who was also the medical officer of health in Nottingham. The doctor had strong opinions on nursing homes run by non-medical personnel and was particularly scathing in his assessment of Dorothea's facility. Yeah, I bet he did. People who are not medical professionals should not be running a nursing home. How? After reading the note that Ada had signed, he instructed that a post-mortem must be performed before the cremation could take place. The post-mortem found no evidence that Ada had died of cardiovascular degeneration. Instead, the examining physician, Dr. Taylor, stated that she could have lived a few more years at least. The true cause of death was to be found in the stomach, liver, and kidneys, where Dr. Taylor detected over 3 grains of morphine, certainly enough to have killed her. Poison! With foul play now suspected in the death of Ada, an order was granted for her mother's remains to be exhumed. She, too, was found to have died from morphine poisoning. Obviously, in short order, Dorothea and Ronald found themselves under arrest and charged with 2 counts of murder. So, the trial of Dorothea and Ronald was one of the most sensational of the era. It began on February 4th, 1936, before Justice Rainer Goddard. Despite the fact that Ronald had written the letter that had first roused suspicion against the couple, the judge ruled that there was insufficient evidence against him and dismissed the charges. So Dorothea was left to face trial on her own. And she almost immediately got herself into trouble when she admitted giving morphine to the Bagleys. She insisted, however, that she had done so on Dr. Mansfield's instructions, and it only took the doctor to take the stand and deny her claim for her to be exposed in a lie. The morphine, he testified, had most likely come from the medication he had prescribed for Mrs. Kemp. As the evidence continued to mount against Dorothea, it became clear to all present that there was only likely to be one outcome. Yet, even though the jury returned a guilty verdict on February 27th, they did so with a recommendation of mercy. Ignoring their advice, Judge Goddard donned the black cap and sentenced Dorothea to death. Dorothea was taken to Winson Green Prison in Birmingham to await her fate. Thereafter followed a desperate round of appeals to save her life. Public opinion was firmly behind her, believe it or not, but the Home Secretary refused to budge. Her last appeal denied. Dorothea went to the gallows on April 16th, 1936. She died while 10,000 protesters gathered outside the prison on her behalf. And it would later be revealed that she had confessed on the scaffold that she had deliberately killed Louisa and Ada. So she did, I don't know. It's like, did she do it just because she needed money to support her family? It doesn't seem like she was malicious, meaning she didn't keep killing people. Do you know what I mean? Like, there are some of these stories that we've done where the person just continues to poison people and kills like a bunch of people. I don't know. And I'm guessing that she confessed on the scaffold because I'm sure there are people that believe in God, that believe, you know, I got to confess this or I'm going to hell, right? Or just the peace of mind she wanted to have right before. Yeah. So it makes you wonder what happened to Ronald. I'm guessing the rest of that estate was turned over to the family. He probably didn't get anything, but now he's got 5 kids to take care of, right? That was a pretty good story, though. I like that one. I like the older ones very, very much. Okay. So yeah, you didn't see me getting too much stitching done. I stitched a lot more after this, but I'm going to end the video here. Oh no, I need the affirmation book. Let me pause. Okay. So, excuse me. Today is Tuesday, August 17th, and today's affirmation is You Decide. That's the title. Life is exactly what you make of it. What are you making of your life? Are there changes you would like to make? If so, what are they? And what steps can you take to move in that direction? And you know, I'm a firm believer in that it's more about what you do consistently than it is what you do once in a while. Because small changes build. Small, consistent changes like exercise, eating well, you know, doing a couple stitches a day. I mean, and I was telling Bill, you know, completing a large project should not be daunting for anyone because all it is one diamond at a time, one stitch at a time. If you do something on a project every single day, it will eventually be done. You will get to that point. So consistency, in my opinion, is the key. Okay, guys, I hope you all have a fantastic Tuesday. As always, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.